because that was not the self they told me existed. As a matter of fact, they told me, don't ever think of yourself as that self. You are not that. And so I battled this demon of self-devaluation, self-humiliation, self-cancellation. What a battle you face. This has been the plight of all third world people, whether they are Spanish speaking, or whether they are French speaking, whether they are Portuguese speaking, whether they are Filipinos or Mexicans, whether they are from the Far East, wherever there has been a history of oppression, and which have taken the form in most countries of colonialism, this battle goes on. And our problem is we've ignored it so long, we think we are normal. So I want to talk to you for a few minutes about how to become yourself, how to become the leader that you were born to be. But this is my second segment on keys to discovering your personal leadership. I'm not talking about leading people first, because you can't lead people until you know who you are. All of my approaches to leadership training has to do with you first. You don't need a position, you need a disposition. You don't need power, you need to be empowered. And so the problem really is not about people not following you. The problem is you ain't worth following yet, because you don't even know who you are. Leadership is therefore first personal, then it's public. And this is the reason why we must first deal with personal leadership. This goes for children and for teenagers and for adults. We all have to discover ourselves. I want to begin with a statement. Look at this picture. I like this picture. First of all, leaders are interesting people. The difference between a boss and a leader is a boss always says, go, do that. But a leader always says, let's go and do that. And there's a big difference between the two goals. Leaders don't say go over the cliff. They say follow me, and then they jump. They lead you into the unknown because they've seen the unknown. It is called vision. So leaders are always initiators. Most of the people in the Caribbean and in Central America and South America are timid. They call us passive. Passivity is a result of training. It's not natural to be passive. It is not natural to be timid. You are trained to be timid. Your culture has trained you to not express yourself, to not vent your thoughts. Matter of fact, one of the ways they taught you it is like this. You ought to be seen and not heard. Sounds familiar? That is from our history. So the slave and the maid And the servant will be in the house. You wouldn't even know they're there. You'll see them once in a while moving. They are to be seen. Our whole countries are like that now. How dare you question America, they said. You are to be seen in the Caribbean, but not heard. We don't want to hear your opinion about anything. We will tell you what you will do. That spirit has produced a people who are so passive that they never make things happen. They watch things happen. What a tragedy. That must change now. You know how old you are? If you don't change that now, your children will be victims of other people's initiatives. It's time for you to jump and tell everybody in life, I'm not waiting anymore. Write this down. Leaders don't wait. If you are a leader, you're always willing to jump first. And sometimes you're not sure what's at the bottom, you know. But your confidence in your capacity to fly or swim is bigger than your fear of what's at the bottom. Which means that your belief is in yourself, not the bottom. That's where leadership begins. Let's talk a little bit about where this leadership lies. This is from one of my books. This is from my heart. Deeply embedded in the nature of man is the spirit of rulership and leadership authority. I'm convinced of that. Deep inside every one of you, in your nature, is the spirit of leadership. I am sure of that. Now, most people will die as followers. We know that. But all of them carry with them in their human DNA the spirit of leadership. Many times it may surface at different moments. And because of your cultural training, you bury it quickly. We call it giving you peace of my mind. That's your leadership showing up. But you are trained to suppress it. You are conditioned to never resist anything. Be nice. Cooperate. Be submissive. These words, they have trained you to believe them. But inside of you, there is a natural inclination to lead. But we have been almost harnessed like a horse, where they have placed certain things in our lives that administer pain if we move out of line. They come by threat. They come by intimidation. They come by instilling fear in you if you do certain things, like losing your job if you resist something. They got these pressure points, like a horse. You know, you control a horse by pain. When you put that stirrup in that horse's mouth, you know, that bridle, that hurts the horse. When you pull it, it hurts the horse, so the horse turns to stop the hurt. That means you're not controlling the horse. The horse is responding to pain. And that's what they've done with humans. The culture has put a bridle in your life, which tells you, don't go in that direction. We will give you pain. My hope is that before this series is over, you will by yourself spit the bridle out. that you will regain your natural stallion spirit. Anybody feel that in the mind? That's what I want to see. I want people to capture themselves and say, wow, this is me. Yeah. That's a struggle we have to deal with. In one of my books entitled The Spirit of Leadership, I give you two definitions. One is called the spirit of leadership, and the other one is called the leadership spirit. They are different. It took me years to understand that, but the leadership spirit is what you are born with. But the spirit of leadership you have to learn. So everyone has the first one, the leadership spirit. But for you to become the leader that you have to also capture the spirit of leadership, which has to do with a conversion of your belief system about yourself. And that's your problem. They have told you what to believe about yourself. Whoever they are. Community, culture, educational system, parents, community leaders, politics. They've convinced you of who they want you to think you are. Because if you ever discover yourself, you become uncontrollable. And this is the challenge. The spirit of leadership means that inside of you is a follower trapped in a leader. So here's a statement I want you to write down. You were born to lead, but you must become a leader. This statement means that inside of you is a powerful person, trapped, hidden. And you have to go through a process to manifest that person. I'm not questioning whether the person exists. What I'm concerned about is, will we ever see her? Will we ever see him on the inside of you? I consider leadership, therefore, like a seed with a tree trapped inside. Every seed has a plant. Do you deny that? No, it's impossible. So when you hold a seed in your hand, you are definitely, unequivocally, completely, truthfully holding a tree. And it's absolutely true. The problem is, the seed is a tree, but it must go through a process to become what it already is. Am I getting this right? In other words, the mango seed is already a mango tree, but it is trapped. And in order for the seed of the mango to become a mango tree, which is itself, it has to go through this process. Leadership is that way. You were born with leadership on the inside, no question about it. But to become that, you got to go through a process. And that's why a class like this is important. How do you make a mango seed become itself, which is a mango tree with mangoes? First, it has to be planted. Second, it has to have moisture. Third, it must have some nutrients from the soil. Fourth, it needs time. Fifth, it's usually hidden before exposed. You don't just jump out and say you are a leader. Six, it has to push through soil. Sometimes you got to fight from the beginning to make it just to the surface. And then you need ultraviolet rays from the sun to convert what you have into chlorophyll. There has to be external input into your life Not to create you, but to germinate you. My job as a teacher is to pour fertilizer and water and nutrients. I'm not here to make you a leader. I'm here to germinate what's already existing. The soil doesn't create the tree. The water does not create the tree. The nutrients do not create the tree. The tree already exists. All these components do is they activate what's already present. That's why you're not a leader yet, because you've been in a toxic environment for the last 30 years of your life. Your classroom was poison. Your teachers will lie. I'm talking about the chemical. Even some of your parents was pollution. It can be in your own house. And you battle your neighborhood. You got to fight through your friends that you grew up with because they don't want to become. You got to become who you are. It already exists, but you got to become it. And that's why I am very careful about who I keep company with. I'm very careful what kind of books I read. I don't want to feed my chromosomes poison. That's why I'm careful what kind of movies I go to see, with all that foul language and bloody killing. In other words, when you discover what you're carrying, you become conscious about what you feed yourself. We just don't care where we are, do we? We just don't care what we eat. And I'm talking about mentally. We don't care who we are with, who's fertilizing us. Whoever you listen to is fertilizing you. And that can be a person or a TV show, a book, or an internet program. Whatever it is, if they're feeding you, you are causing them to infect your hidden tree. This is the challenge of leadership. I mentioned to you that everybody was born to be a leader. Please write this down. You were created to lead, but not to lead people. Now, this is a difficult concept when I teach it all over the world, because your culture tells you to be a leader, you need followers. I disagree. Now, don't get me wrong. I used to believe that. I was taught, and the Chinese have a proverb, I think, that kind of reinforces it. It says, he who think he leadeth and hath no one following is simply taking a walk. That's what the Chinese proverb said. Let me say it again. The Chinese says, he who thinketh he leadeth and hath no one following is simply taking a walk. I used to believe that. I don't believe that anymore. First of all, I don't believe you need followers to be a leader. All great leaders in history, I'm talking about true leaders, never sought followers. When a person seeks followers, that is proof to me that they are not leaders. They have ego problems. They have self-concept problems. They have self-esteem problems. They need other people to give them value. This is not leadership. This is a disease. It's called low self-worth. And there are many of them in our nations with titles. You were not created to lead people. I'll leave you the point number 2. Write it down. You were created to lead in an area of gifting. You were designed by the Creator to deliver a gift to your generation. Inside of you is something we need.